Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Bryce Laspisa, a 19-year-old college student who went missing on the 30th of August 2013. To start off, I just want to say that all of the information that I use in this video was found on the internet, which means that it might not be 100% accurate because it is the internet. So if I do make a mistake, please bear with me and correct me. First thing that we want to start off is background information and who Bryce Laspisa was at the time of his disappearance. Bryce was a 19-year-old who had red hair, blue eyes, who was 5'11" and weighed 170 pounds. And another distinctive thing that you might be able to recognize him by was his tattoo on his left shoulder, which was of a Taurus head. So obviously this is something that people could recognize him by. Bryce was an only child. He was born to Michael and Karen Laspisa. Laspisa was a college student, a sophomore at the time of his disappearance. He was born on the 30th of April, 1994 in Illinois. He grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, I think, in Illinois. He finished school, so elementary, middle, and high school in Illinois. And in 2012, according to the internet, his whole family decided to move to California. This was when his parents retired and Bryce finished high school. So they thought it was a perfect time to move and start a new chapter in their lives. At the time of their move, Bryce decided to attend the Sierra College in Rockland, California. Let's have a look at all of the information regarding Bryce's disappearance. So, as I said, Bryce disappeared on the 30th of August 2013. The case remains unsolved. We still don't know what happened to Bryce, even 8 years after. The most important thing when it comes to someone's disappearance is obviously trying to piece together his life right before he disappeared. So, as I mentioned, Bryce was a college student at Sierra College in Rockland, California. In August, around mid-August, I'd say, Bryce drove back to Rockland from his family home because his college was starting again, so the new school year was starting. He drove back, and on the 26th of August, he began his first day, I think, new classes and everything. He had 2 classes that day, and his mother recalled that she talked to him that day and that he seemed very, very happy with how classes went that day, and that he was really, really excited about to start the new year. He was studying graphic design, if I'm not mistaken. Well, yeah, he seemed very happy and excited about the new school year, you know, which is quite promising. So his mother didn't seem worried at that time. He seemed very natural and happy to talk. As this conversation was happening, there were some interesting accounts of Bryce's behavior coming from his friends, roommate, and girlfriend. So obviously Bryce was very sociable, you know, according to the stories that we heard from his friends. He had a lot of friends at college. He was even dating a girl named Kim Sly, who was 20 at the time, and everything seemed to be going great, which probably made his life easier there. So his friends, roommate, and his girlfriend started noticing some weird behavior in Bryce. Bryce was starting to act odd. He was drinking more than usual, and he was even taking ADHD drugs. So obviously his girlfriend started to get really, really concerned. She was pressing him about it, and he finally admitted that he did in fact take an ADHD drug, which is called also a study drug. Very popular at the time. People were using it to stay up the whole night in order to study for an exam or anything of that sort. What Bryce used it for, apparently to play video games the whole night, which in reality is not really that strange because he was a teenager. Teenagers love video games. You know, we don't know how far somebody was willing to go in order to play video games. Another interesting thing that is, I think, vital to this investigation was the fact that Bryce started giving out valuable stuff in terms of like he gave away diamond earrings that his mother had given him. He even gave away his video gaming console. So this is interesting to me, because obviously this sort of behavior indicates that somebody is ready to commit suicide, for example, and you know, it is valuable information, I think. Although I'm no detective, this is just something that I found very important in the whole process of the investigation. Following that, on the 28th of August, Bryce broke up with his girlfriend via text. Apparently she was being too pushy and with the whole drinking and taking drugs thing, so he decided that she would be better off without him, and that's what he wrote in the message. And she texted him back asking if he was breaking up with her, and he confirmed that he was. What he did later that night made absolutely no sense to anyone. He went to his, at the time, ex-girlfriend's house to talk. He was still adamant that he was breaking up with her, and he still didn't want to give like an actual explanation. So he was there up until like 11:30 p.m. and he told her that he wanted to go home and he was going to drive back home, and she thought that he was in no shape to drive and took away his keys. He got very agitated. He decided to call his mom and tell her that Kim, his ex-girlfriend, has taken his keys away from him and she won't let him drive until the next morning. His mother, Karen, thought he was good to go, like he was in shape to drive, and she talked to Kim, and Kim reluctantly gave him his keys. He started driving. He left the house, and that was the last time that his girlfriend has heard from him. His parents think that he's driving back home to where he was staying at college. So they are very surprised the next morning on the 29th of August. At around 9 a.m. they receive a phone call from their insurance company saying one of their vehicles has requested a roadside service. So they were quite confused because they then realized Bryce has never gotten home and that he was actually driving back to his parents' house. So they decided to call Bryce. Bryce was not picking up at the time, so after a couple of tries, they decided to call the actual roadside service that had given service to Bryce. They redirect them to the guy who was actually helping Bryce. His name was Christian. He answered the phone and he told them that, yeah, he had taken 3 gallons of gas to Bryce to help him out in Buttonwillow, California, which was around 3.5 hours away from where his parents' house was. They realized he was on his way to the family home. Bryce's parents told Christian they were concerned about Bryce because he was not answering his phone. So Christian decides to go back to Buttonwillow and check up on Bryce, even though it had already been 3 hours since Christian had helped Bryce on the road. So he was quite aware that there was 99% of chance that he was not going to find Bryce still there 3 hours later. But to everyone's surprise, Bryce was still sitting in the same spot in his car, even 3 hours after he had requested roadside service. Christian was surprised to see Bryce. Bryce was just as surprised to see Christian, and even more surprised when Christian gave him his phone to answer to Karen Laspisa. So Bryce finally talked to his mom. He said everything was fine. He just ran out of gas and he was coming home. Everything was fine. Christian went back. And after, again, a couple of hours, Karen could not reach her son again. Eventually, she decided to file for a missing persons report. The police pinged the signal from Bryce's phone and they located him again in Buttonwillow almost 10 hours after Christian had checked up on Bryce. So this was really strange. The police went up to him, they talked to him, they begged him to call his mom, and they were surprised to find out that Bryce was really reluctant to call his mom, in fact. And even after the police told him that his mother was very worried. The police officer gives him his phone and begs him to call his mom. He talks to his mom and he tells her that he will be on his way. He just has to eat something and then he will be right back on the road. Obviously, the police leaves and Christian from the roadside service from earlier before decides to go up to Button Willow again to check up on Bryce one more time and to see that Bryce actually gets on the Interstate 5 to go back to the parents' house. Bryce, realizing that he had nowhere else to go in terms of that he could not prolong his stay in Button Willow any longer, he finally gets on the Interstate 5, and Christian calls Bryce's mom and tells him that everything's fine, that Bryce was back on the road and he was on the Interstate 5 heading back to the parents' house. So I think that was the last time that Christian had seen Bryce. Yeah, that was around midnight on the 30th of August. So at around 1 after midnight, Bryce calls his mom. He actually has no idea where he is, but the GPS that he had at him at the moment was telling him that he would be at the family house at around 3:25 a.m. His mom, not really happy with how the whole day had been going, still quite worried about Bryce, decides to leave the questioning aside and wait for him to get home in order to question him. Another interesting thing is that Bryce also told his mom that he had something very, very important to tell her, and that he would tell her when he got back home. Around 2:09 a.m., Bryce calls back his mom again and tells her that he's too tired to drive and that he was gonna pull over and take a nap. Obviously, his mother was not happy with it, but at the same time, she thought maybe it was better not to drive tired. A couple of hours later, in the morning, the Laspisa family home gets a ring on their door, and the parents were expecting Bryce to be at the door, but were very surprised to find the police standing there telling them that Bryce's Toyota Highlander was found overturned near a lake. They're surprised, they have no idea what's happening. So the police decide to kind of find some security cameras that were there, that, you know, the ones that take a shot of the registration plate. So they found Bryce on 2 occasions on one camera. One was at 2:15 a.m., which was 6 minutes after he had called his mom to tell her that he was gonna take a rest before he continued driving. So he was seen heading up the hill. And then at 4:30 a.m., he was seen again on the same route going down the hill, I think. So we have no idea what he was doing in the meantime, but he comes up at 4:30. So this is really strange. And then his car is found wrecked after 5:30 a.m. And when the police was investigating how it came to the car crash, they realized it was fully intentional, not accidental, that Bryce was the one who kept his foot on the accelerator. This is all very strange, and, you know, the police finds the wrecked car. Bryce is nowhere to be found. Obviously, they spend at least 2 weeks thoroughly searching for Bryce everywhere in the area where his car was found. Nowhere to be found. At 2:09, it was the last time that Bryce's mom had heard from Bryce, and 4:30 was the last time Bryce was seen. You know, his car was seen on the camera that took a shot of his plates. So we have no idea what was going on in Bryce's head. So everything that he wanted to say, he decided not to. He even told his mom that he would talk to her when he got back home, which he never did. So this all happened in the early mornings of the 30th of August, 2013. So it's gonna be almost 8 years since his disappearance, and there are still no hints as to what had happened to Bryce. You know, some people think he's alive, some people don't. So let's go on to theories. Now we're going to talk about some theories that I found on the internet, and I'm going to say my opinion as to what I think had happened to Bryce, and you can leave your theories down below. So I've seen a lot of things. Some things I don't agree with, some things I really do agree with. So my personal opinion is that everything kind of in this whole story points to the fact that Bryce had been feeling maybe suicidal. You know, the heavy drinking, the taking of ADHD drugs, and the fact that he was giving out valuable stuff, and the fact that he was the one apparently that had caused his own car crash. So maybe he was hoping to die in a car crash and he didn't, and then he decided to leave the crash. Although there was blood found in his car, nothing to indicate that he had suffered from serious wounds from the car crash. So he was probably able to completely walk away from the crash without any problems. I think that Bryce was very suicidal, or that something was happening in his private life, either at home or at university, that was really troubling and he wanted to get away from it. So he decided to just kind of leave, either to kill himself or to just completely leave the country or like change his name or something. I think that's kind of like the most logical thing because of his weird behavior, and you know, people said that he wasn't acting like himself. So I don't think there was foul play involved, and I don't think there was any evidence of foul play involved, but I personally don't think there was. I just think it was his own probably mental state that kind of led to this, unfortunately, and that maybe we don't know the whole story of what was happening in his private life, therefore we cannot even imagine what could possibly make him want to completely leave his life behind. So this is one of the theories, and this is probably something I believe in the most when it comes to the story. Obviously, there's so many more. Feel free to leave yours down below. If anybody has any information about Bryce's whereabouts or what had happened to Bryce, please call the LA Sheriff's Department or call the family number or email them. The family is offering a $5,000 reward for any information that would lead to the safe return of their son, Bryce Laspisa. Thank you for watching. Bye.